And welcome to Right VIP, the Right channel. My name is Serge, and I've been getting a lot of questions from you guys about a used car parts business and how did I get the cars and stuff, and what am I going to do with the cars. So this video, I'm going to tell you how am I going to build a multi-million-dollar used car parts business. Now, I'm only making this video because there's lots of people that's asking questions, and I never mind to share. So here's the deal. Earlier videos that I just put out, like part 1 and part 2, that was just explaining pretty much how I got all the cars and stuff, what was the thought process behind it, and I did mention that I will sell some parts, that kind of thing. In today's video, what I want to mention is what I have done so far into building my multi-million-dollar business. Excuse me, I want to sneeze like this is February. I always get allergies. It's kind of crazy, but they come and go. But anyways, so now that I have all these cars, okay, there's a couple things that I could do. I could fix some of the cars and sell them. I could rent some of the cars out. I could use the cars for myself, and of course, I could sell cars. I could sell car parts. Now, just to get this out of the way, because I get this question a lot as well, and I got it today. I got lots of people that are renting cars out there, and I do plan to rent some cars out. Now, my 33 cars are not all capable to be rented. Obviously you would have not known that because I've never broke it down like I have in the previous videos. But I did with the recent videos. I explained how did I get to that point, what was the thought process behind it, what is the plan and stuff like that. But here's the thing, in the beginning I did not have that plan, okay? That plan came later on. It's sort of like everything progresses. The only thing that I felt was like, I feel like there's something here, okay? Now, what gave me this idea is I read Millionaire Mind, Millionaire Next Door. There's one guy that was working for some company, and apparently it was a trucking company. So if you read that book, then you're gonna know what I'm talking about. So his company sold one of their semi trucks. I don't know what was wrong with it. It's not important. And some of the things that I will say that they bought, I'm just gonna use it as hypothetically speaking, because it doesn't really matter what was sold. What matters is that it was some parts off the truck anyways. As you know, the semi trucks parts, they're very expensive, and actually Tesla parts are very expensive, and we're gonna get into that in a moment with a Tesla as well, because as you guys know, you heard me buying a Tesla. I'm gonna explain the thought process behind that, because some of you guys said I'm gonna go bankrupt, and believe me, I heard this already so many times before. I've learned not to really pay attention too much to that. Like, I listen to it, I listen to the concerns, I understand the concerns, but the thing is, you have a lot of people in the world, right? There's gonna be 100 people that try exactly the same thing, right? And 99% will fail, but that 1% will succeed. So yes, you could say mostly people will fail with it, because that is the results you've seen, and you're going to be right. But there's going to be that 1% that will not fail, and I believe that 1% is me. Especially the way I do things is I take calculated risks, and I always have a way out. So I feel like I'm talking about like two different things in two different ways, right? It's splitting out. But that's how kind of like my mind works. It's a little bit crazy, but I could keep track of it, but hopefully you guys can. But anyways, as I explained in previous videos, when I bought, let's say like the Mercedes Sprinter van, and I bought another parts van next to it, that actually saved me. So when my Mercedes Sprinter van with a brand new engine broke, the transmission broke, but there was a brand new engine in it. I just needed the transmission, so I already had a used Mercedes Sprinter van, and I took that transmission off of it. By the way, we'll get to the Millionaire Mind story right after this, but let me just show you kind of like how this works, because this aligns very well, and I already done this prior to reading the book, and when I read the book, it made a lot of sense to me what else I could do with this little information that I got. Because in life, like anybody that shares information, like even like what I'm sharing with you guys, it's like for some people it's gonna be like meaningless. To others, it's gonna unlock a whole new opportunity. It might not be parts business, but it might be totally something else. But everybody works differently. Every mind works differently. Therefore, you might think of totally, completely something else, but because you heard what I said, it unlocked that potential in you. And I'm a big believer in that. So when I read a lot of books by millionaires, that basically unlocks other potential in me. Therefore, I share it with you. It's going to help somebody else. It's kind of like a domino effect. So anyways, let me just quickly break this down. So I'm just going to start over. That way it doesn't, well, not necessarily start over. This is not in this conversation. But let me have a drink. So in 2015, when I bought my home, I already had my Sprinter that had a brand new engine in it. Now that Sprinter had 844,000 miles when I installed a new engine. And it probably had right around like 900,000 miles or something by the time the transmission went. Or maybe like even like 950, because it did not give me problems for a while. I was able to save up money after installing an engine and collect enough money to buy the property for cash in a commercial zone property. But then somebody offered me a deal that I could not refuse. I bought another Sprinter, which was the same year, this time for $1,600. And I knew at the minimum I had a transmission in it. So therefore, that was something that I was gonna save money next time, and I also had a rear end and a bunch of other parts. So let me mention some of these things. So here's the deal. When my transmission broke, I was also broke, but not broken, and that's important. So my electricity got cut off, water got cut off. I had to go through that all over again, like I used to have to go through, except without the electricity. I had to go through being late on my rent and stuff before. And that does not make me a bad person, but I've seen my share of struggle. So I could sit here and tell you guys, I've been there, I've done that, I've experienced that, I know what that feels like. I don't want to have that feeling again. So I might try to share this with the people that are willing to listen, so that you don't have to go through it again. And if you are going through that, to let you know that, hey, it gets better. There's you shouldn't really worry about that, or accept the judgment from others on you, or the judgment from yourself that you're somehow a worse person, because here you are failing miserably. Because I've done my share of failing, and most successful people will tell you they have failed a lot. Part of the reason for this success is because of the failure. So it's kind of like we have to be thankful for our failures. The more failures you're going to have in life, the more successful you will be. That's just kind of like my take on life. So, as they say, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And that's exactly what you have to do. And then sell the lemonade and make lots of money. But anyways, so that used parts van for $1,600 saved me a lot of money, because I don't have to buy a transmission or a torque converter. So I went ahead and I removed that. I installed onto that Sprinter. A little bit later on, my rear end went out. I installed that. Then my drive shaft went out in several different pieces. The drive shaft in a Sprinter van consists of 3 separate parts. A front portion went out, then a rear portion. So I was like, at first I flipped, I just installed the whole drive shaft. Then it went, like a small portion of it went out. Then I replaced a section from another drive shaft. And this all was saving me money. Then I had an issue. My EGR went out. Boom, replace it. My transmission control module needed to be replaced. I replaced it, all from that van. Then I went back. I needed to replace an EGR. I also needed a starter. I replaced the starter. I also needed an alternator. I replaced the alternator. I did not use the belt because I never used belts. I did not use the pulleys. However, I have taken that used belt, and I've taken the pulleys, and I've taken them with me. So one thing that's better to have is to have at least something on the road. If something fails, have an extra tensioner, have some belts, have some pulleys, have something with you that you could temporarily replace. But you should not replace like a used belt with a used belt, is what I'm saying. but you can use it to save your ass on the side of the road. So along with me buying that van, what that van also had in it was the previous owner's previous experience and money invested in it. And what I mean by that is he had a whole cardboard box full of radiator hoses, every single hose you could think of on that vehicle, because guess what, his previous engine overheated, and it was all due to the hose. This time he got a new engine in it, which was used. Of course the engine later on locked up as well, but he had all these hoses he bought from a dealer, brand new with tags on them. I still got many of those hoses, and I've used a lot of those hoses. It's just some of those I don't know if I'll ever even use. But the fact is, he bought every single hose. He didn't charge me for that. He's like, here, you could have that. Along with it, he had like a spare tensioner. Good, brand new tensioner that I used it. He also had a bunch of other parts, but we're not going to get into all those parts. Already, what I have mentioned, that's already a lot. Oh yeah, I replaced my seat with that seat because I had so many millions of miles on my, well, millions. That van, I've retired it right now, but that van has right now, it went over 1 million and started counting it again. So it started from fresh, like speedometer started over. It went up to 1 million, boom, started over. So I think it has like 167,000 miles on the dash. And guess what? That transmission is out on it again. And I have another van to put the transmission in. But I sort of retired it. And I parked it. I haven't used it for like, I don't know, like 5 years. It's just been sitting there with a brand new engine. I know that with the van failing so much, now what's going to be useful on that van is that engine that I bought, which was brand new. I could pull it off because it's worth $9,500 to me. Okay, now you could see kind of like where I'm going with this. I have done exactly the same thing with all the cars that I mentioned in the previous video, part 2 of the video. I bought cars to fix other cars. I bought vans to fix other vans. I will buy this new Tesla electric and buy another Tesla from an auction or a broken down Tesla on Facebook or something. I will pay pennies on the dollars on that Tesla, and I will get it, and that car is going to serve me well because I'll be able to swap parts out. I need to swap in a new battery pack, go ahead. I drive a unit, go ahead. Any kind of wiring, any kind of sensors, whatever those Teslas have, there's a lot of parts on them that are useful. So I will have all those parts. Therefore, I will not go bankrupt. As a matter of fact, that will make me more richer by it failing. Because when my Tesla is going to be failing, it will push me to learning about that Tesla. Therefore, I'm going to know how to do that particular job, which means I could perform that same job for somebody else, which also means I need to think big, and instead of just buying one single part, I buy the whole car, which means that once I replace that part on my car, I have a bunch of parts left over, which would then give me an idea, hey, what if I buy another Tesla like this, you know, and then use some of the parts from that other one to fix this one. Well, now I have a Tesla for my wife. Look at Rich Rebuilds. That's exactly what the guy did. He bought 2 Teslas from the auction way back when. Back then they were still very expensive. And he ended up having a free Tesla out of it because he bought 2 Teslas, made 1 out of 2, sold all the parts, which paid for that other Tesla. His Tesla became free. Sure, he had other problems in the future, but look him up, Rich Rebuilds on YouTube. He became pretty popular because of that Tesla, because he kept fixing it. Because guess what? There's not a lot of people that are willing to fix a Tesla. And yes, it is challenging. This is why there's not enough specialists out there to fix those Teslas, including the Tesla dealer. They cannot get enough techs. We only have one here on Independence in Charlotte, and that's it. And guess what I've heard about the dealership? They're too slow, they're not working fast enough, they're not that good, blah, blah, blah. But the biggest problem people were voicing their concern on is it takes way too long because there's not enough stuff there, you know, to complete all the jobs. That means there's a big opportunity there for me to start a Tesla repair shop. So once I learn what I need to learn about these Teslas, guess what? I could then go further. So anyways, that being said, the idea that I got was from a millionaire mind, and there was another video on YouTube about a junkyard business, and I put two and two together. Two different ideas, and I figured out how that, well, I figured out that I'm already there. I don't need to really go any further. Well, let me tell you this idea just really quickly before the millionaire mind, because millionaire mind is just a simple little idea. This one's a little bit more intricate. But anyways, there is a video that popped up on my feed. Some guy became a multi-millionaire because he had 27 cars when he started his used car parts business, and he figured out a good way to organize everything and to inventory everything. He became very successful, and he sold his business for like millions of dollars. And you know how he started? Let me just tell you his story very quickly, because it's super important. That guy was super broke. He was living in a trailer park, paying the lot fees with his dad. They only had one Volkswagen Beetle. His dad ended up passing away and left him the trailer, and he left him the Volkswagen Beetle, which was real old. That Volkswagen Beetle started breaking down. He bought another Volkswagen Beetle to fix his Volkswagen Beetle. Before you know, he had a lot more Beetles. Before you know, he knew how to work on the Beetles. Opened up his own shop. People started bringing him Volkswagen Beetles so he could fix them, and he keeps fixing them. He buying more Volkswagen Beetles. Then he's got a whole yard full of them, 27 of them in his yard, and he's pretty popular fixing the Volkswagen Beetles. He was probably not even on YouTube, but the guy was able to grow. I'm on YouTube. People know that I have millions of views on Mercedes Sprint events. They know I know how to repair them. They are begging me to come and get repaired at my shop. And I do charge $100 per labor hour, which, if you know anything about mechanics, that's a lot more than $100 per hour. You might be saying, well, what are you doing here? Driving, okay? That's a whole another question in itself, and I would explain that in other videos. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. That guy, when he was fixing Volkswagen Beetles, he was selling his own used car parts to the people that was coming there to get their their Volkswagen Beetles repaired. It's a similar thing like I have with my Sprinter diesels. Same thing. I specialize in them. He specializes in the Volkswagen Beetles. I have 10 Sprinter vans. He had, I think, already 27 Volkswagen Beetles. So, long story short, he realized he was making way more money from selling used parts than he was repairing the cars. So then he went in and started his own parts business. Now, I've looked at that, and after he started his business, he made millions, and then even Ford bought him out. But later on, they ended up selling the business back to him, and he ended up buying it back at a discount, and then somebody else bought that business from him, so he became a multi-millionaire from that. So he was like basically dealing with junk cars and living in some mansion now and got a bunch of money. So so you take stuff like that, guys, and you make millions on it. Like, take a problem and just use that to learn from it. Use that to catapult you to the next level. A lot of times these problems are given to us so that we can learn from them. If you learn from them and you accept them, that makes you stronger. There's a saying, what doesn't break you make you stronger. It is in a song, and it's a saying, and that is so true. That is so true. In my life, I had my share of struggles. I'm talking about childhood, anything. I could have complained, oh, blah, 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 my childhood was not so good. I don't do that. I became stronger, and I'm basically doing what I want to do, and I'm just moving on. Because sometimes you just gotta grow up, you know? So anyways, let's look at the Millionaire Mind book. And this is gonna be sort of the end of the video. The Millionaire Mind, there was one guy working for a company, a trucking company at that. Their truck broke down. They sold that truck to some junkyard for $5,000. Later on, they needed to buy a part from it, which the junkyard sold them that part for $5,000. Later on, they needed another part. So they sold a part to them, another $5,000. Later on, they needed another part, another $5,000. So that guy, he's seen this whole thing. He's like, hey, here we sold the truck for $5,000. We already spent $15,000 on some of the parts. And therefore, I guess you put two and two together. Okay, that's one truck. If I have 100 trucks, if I have 500 trucks, what does that really mean? That is a big business there. Anytime you could make, like, man. Okay, I'm just gonna stop myself right there because I'll get back to it. But anyways, how much money you get back in your bank if you put it in a savings account? Like, not even a percent. How much money do you get back, like, when you, like, I don't know, like, invest in the stock market? If you could get back like 17%, it's like, whoa, you're killing. That's like Warren Buffett territory, okay? So usually when I do business, I make, like, if I invest 1,000, I expect to make 2,000 or 3,000 out of it. So what does that tell you? What kind of return on my investment am I getting? How am I gonna really do in the future? That's a pretty big deal. So in the way I look at cars too, cars are an investment. So not only that they're saving me money by me fixing out the cars with that, because I could use other used cars. I don't need to be showing off. I think you guys think that I need to show off somehow. I do not need to show off to anybody. I don't need to do anything. So I use used cars. Yes, luxury cars, but they're used cars. So if they break, I fix them with other cars. Therefore, it's saving me a ton of money. And because I know how to do the work myself, it saves me even more money. But do you think I knew how to do everything myself? No, I didn't. Now I'm the guy that's sharing it on YouTube. Back in the day, when I bought my Sprinter, my first Sprinter 2007, brand new from the dealer, that Sprinter started breaking down already after 20,000. And 100,000, it needed some major repairs. And no warranty. But guess what? I went and looked all over YouTube. I could not find anything. I was like thinking like, wow, there's no information about it. I spoke to shops. I called up mechanics. Nobody knew anything. I went to forums. I would go to UK forums, South African forums, United States forums, any forums that I could find to read up on all the information about the topic that I need. And guess what? The information was so mixed. I needed to really figure out like, well, who's right here? Then I would test each and everybody's theory. I'm like, well, this don't work. That don't work. This don't work. Oh, this works. Okay, so this is the correct way. But you know what? I would get 4 answers for that same problem. And I'm thinking, who's right? Who's wrong? Do you give up because of that? No, you don't. Take all the information. Find out what's the correct information. Don't just give up. And the thing I don't do is I don't blame other people, for instance, for selling me a bad car. I accept it. I buy a bad car, it's on me. If I overlook something, it's on me. I will not blame them. I accept the challenge. You know, yeah, sometimes the challenges could put you to tears. Sometimes the challenges could make you broke. But don't give up. You just have to look at it like this, like, how can I take this challenge and make money with it instead of the other way around? And that's exactly what I've been doing. How do you think I ended up with so many cars? Partly because I was smart enough not to buy new parts for the vehicles. I use parts what I have. So that put money back into my pocket. How did I end up buying even more cars? Well, there's no rent payment because guess what? I bought a dump and I ended up fixing the whole place from buying everything on clearance and going to builders auctions to get all the supplies. So I used somebody else's problems to fix my problem at a discount. And now I have a lot of sweat equity in my property and I don't never want to sell it because I have 2 properties next door and that is that. So anyways, I think that makes a pretty good conclusion for the video. Let me know if you have any more questions. I think I kind of explained it a little bit. Oh, I forgot to mention one most important thing, which I did mention it before in other videos, but in case you didn't watch it. So what am I doing to start my own multi-million-dollar used car parts business? First of all, I already have about $70,000 worth of parts listed on eBay, and guess what? I only listed some stuff that I had, like not all the stuff, just some stuff. So then I quickly realized, I'm like, this all came off of one vehicle. Like, wow, you know. I sold already tons of stuff, so I made a lot of money on eBay. Then, well, a lot, like I'm talking about, like, not, I didn't make like hundreds of thousands or nothing. Like I've made probably like couple tens of thousands, on it, along with expenses and stuff. So I did make that money, but I quickly realized, I'm like, whoa, this is just one car. I have that many cars. Easily, that's a multi-million-dollar business, because I thought like, okay, this is 70,000. I only use one. I got 33. How many millions are here? I don't know, at least 3 million or more. So in the beginning, like, you look at cars like, okay, like a car itself might be worth maybe I buy it for $1,500, but the car in parts is probably worth like 15, or more. Not everything's gonna sell. Sometimes 30% of the car will sell, but you'll make more money than you would have sold the car to begin with. Even if you don't, you'll get your money back and then some, and then you could get up that money into the next car and just keep doing it. Before you know it, you'll have a lot of cars, and you don't need to sell everything. You're trying to get inventory. You're trying to build inventory. So I have inventory. So how do you keep inventory? By having proper organization. How do you keep proper organization? By having a warehouse/shop. By having commercial grade shelving. I did buy commercial grade shelving. I got 18 of them. The shelves are 4 feet by 8 feet by 12 foot tall, and some of them are even 10 feet long. That's the length. So I have all the shelves. I already have my own, basically it's a Bobcat, but I could attach forks to it, and boom, now I got my own forklift already, and I already got all the cars. So now I just gotta build a damn like pole barn. That's all I need. Nothing major. I don't need all this fancy schmancy type of stuff. I try to think simply. It's like, what gets the job done? Do I need a huge warehouse, multi-million-dollar warehouse? It's like blah blah. No, I don't. I just need a place to put the parts on the shelves and have like a nice ground. That's just concrete. Make a pole barn out of it. Cover up with like a tin roof or whatever, and metal side walls. That's it. Boom, done, finished. No big deal. So that is something I'm working on. So this is why I've been really hustling, and I'm trying to save up all the money necessary for me to build that warehouse. And I have mentioned that before, and I'm mentioning it now again. That is exactly what I'm doing right now. This is why I need to work very hard in February. I already worked hard in January. I did okay. I did pretty well. I did well in previous months last year. I already have enough money for me to build what I need, but the plans change ever so slightly, which will not impact me in a big way. So I need to make a little bit more money to make sure that I hedge my bets, or whatever it would be called. Make sure I have enough money to keep going. So and that being said, when I'm gonna start building, I'm gonna be building Monday through Thursday, the worst days that you could possibly work, while working Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to rest from all the building that I'm gonna be doing. To rest. So I love driving. This actually is relaxing to me, and I enjoy cars. I love driving cars. So this allows me to drive the cars that I enjoy to drive. This is why I don't drive piece of shit cars, even if they're gonna save me money. Because if I drive a piece of shit car, then it feels like a job, and I'm trying to maximize my earnings. All for what? If my lifestyle is already shit, like, to me, it doesn't make sense. Now, however, I will give this to y'all that commented, get like let's say like a Toyota Highlander, that's a nice car. Nothing against that car. That is a nice car. That is a very expensive car. I'm just not willing to spend that kind of money on that car, even though it saves me money, because my primary goal is not to be an Uber driver, like that maximizes their earnings, and I don't want to make it like a lifetime deal type of thing, But I think a Tesla suits that very nicely. The Tesla Model S that I'm basically buying, that suits it very nicely, because it's cheap enough for me to think like this. I don't have to work in that Tesla. I mean, first of all, I'm purchasing it for me. I don't have to rake up the miles on it. Most likely I will not be raking up the miles on, but if I am, it's going to pay for itself, and I'm not afraid of putting miles on it, and I'm not afraid oh, I better baby it. No, I'm not afraid of that, or maybe that's the wrong way of saying it, but I'm not concerned with the car. The car is there to serve me, not the other way around. I'm not going to babying it. Oh, my Tesla Model S. It is there to serve me. It is there for, to make money for me. And when it breaks, I will fix it. or I will retire it if that makes more sense. So that is no problem. Okay, so that car is gonna be like my personal car, and I already know, I've done some math. That car, doesn't matter. Any car does not make sense to use in Uber or Lyft at the current pace. If you got your own clients, that changes things. I'm working on my own clients, but at the same time, you see, I'm working on my parts business. Like, I cannot be in two places at once. So but I always have a backup plan. That's a backup plan. If, you know, parts business, let's say I listed $1 million worth of parts, nothing selling. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be driving. The beauty about this job is that while my parts are sitting there on shelves and for sale, and if something sells, I will go home and I'm gonna ship them in the morning, all while still working and making money, putting bread on my table, still able to make investments. And it's like, I can't lose. I can't lose. I'm basically driving, making money. Something sells, I will ship it in the morning. If it takes all day for me to ship them, I will just not work that day, but I will work the next day. So that is that. So an Uber and Lyft job for me is a way to relax, but I still enjoy making money. So I like to get paid the proper amount. But what I'm noticing right now is that they're not paying so good. The pay is really shit right now. I worked a Saturday 12-hour shift, and I will show you a little bit later on when I make that video that I just made, I think, like $220 for 12 hours on a Saturday. I did like $176 on a Friday. That was 10 hours or maybe 12. I don't know. I need to look at it. But either way, that is not good. But ultimately, what I want to do is I have Tesla till Wednesday. I will work till Wednesday and give the Tesla up in the morning at 11 o'clock in the morning. But here's why the Tesla doesn't make any sense to use it. I'm just going to tell you this, guys, because I'm an Uber driver. You guys know that. You're watching on my channel. Here's why. There's a lot of time being lost. Regardless if it's free supercharging. If I'm losing 3 hours out of the day sitting on the charger because I need to charge, maybe I don't have no other things, I need to charge. I'm losing 3 hours. Even at the current rate, let's say we're making only $20 an hour instead of 30, because it seems like we're headed that way. It's kind of like how it is. Well, it's really like $15 an hour, really, realistically. So, but anyways, let's say it's 20. 3 hours lost, that is $60 you lost that day. If you had just a regular fuel car, like a BMW, like I have, that is $60 I put on my tank and I continue. That means I'm losing 3 hours on my life and potential earnings. So if all I have to do is not be at the charger to try to save money, because saving money doesn't always make you money. Oh, I'm saving money because it's a free charger. Yeah, I am saving money, but what am I losing? I am losing time. And if I would have just fueled up my car with fuel to begin with, even a BMW, I would have been further ahead. I would have made more money in that time. Does that make sense to you? Now take $60 and times it by 30. Let's just take $50 times it by 30. That's $1,500 lost. Income, potential income, revenue lost. Does that make sense, guys? $1,500. What is $1,500? That takes care of my whole fuel for the month on the BMW. Therefore, I technically don't even need a Tesla to do this business. And me knowing that, when I'm buying this Tesla, because I still will buy it because it's such a great deal, I'll let my wife drive it and she's excited. She's like, somehow I feel that car's gonna be mine. I'm like, she's got a right feeling, because I'm a funny guy like that. I tell her, oh, I'm just gonna buy myself a better one. And she's like, oh, all the time, because right now she's thinking like, wow, that is the best. But that's how I look at things. I'm gonna buy myself a better one. Sometimes I bring like food from like a restaurant, like it'll be like really good food, right? And I brought it for her, right? But she thinks I brought it for me. And she's like, oh, can I have my food? I'm like, of course. I'm just gonna buy myself some fresh food. And she's like, oh, but that's how like I joke with her. But my wife is awesome. Normally I don't show her, I really don't talk about her on the channel, but if you guys seen her, you've seen her in the video that I was talking about, that I recorded this morning, explaining to you guys some stuff. It was a really dark video. I used some scenes from the downtown, and I placed a scene where my wife actually came and she was with me while I was charging, and I swapped out a BMW. But I think some people were under the impression that I use the Tesla to do Lyft driving. First of all, that doesn't make any sense to do that. But I already explained that in the last video. Here's the thing, I was hypothetically speaking, if you did, nobody would really know about it. But the problem you run into is that, well, not even the problem, nobody's gonna really complain from the people if you pick them up in a Tesla, right? But the problem you have with it is, first of all, you're taking a huge risk. If you have a car accident, like, how are you going to be covered? So that's an Uber car. Now you got in trouble from Hertz, from Uber, and you got in trouble from Lyft all at the same time. So yeah, you're going to be like screwed, you know. But let's say, hypothetically speaking, if you use that to build some clients for the future, because you got a Tesla and now you look good in it, and you give out your business cards and you make some money, I mean, that could work out for you in the future. If you come and pick them up in a different vehicle, they're not going to mind as well. But in life, you have to take risks, but sometimes you have to take calculated risk, and this risk would be too great. And at the same time, as I told you, there's like way too much time you lose with a Tesla. You lose 3 hours for charging. There is absolutely no time. Like, I'm not a machine, I'm not a robot. So just think about this. Just think about this, okay? First of all, I'm trying to make money from quests on Uber. So I need to drive 12 hours. That 12 hours quickly turns into 13 hours with like an hour for lunch, or just logging off here and there. With 2 hours commuting and 3 hours charging, that's actually 5 hours added to the day. How many hours is that? 13 plus 5. Thank you, bye.